Hey folks, welcome to Horsemanship 101 again today. I want to talk about primarily the intelligence of horses and some of the things we do or do not need to actually teach them. Now, more than teaching her, I was actually just testing to see what a reaction would be like if I'm out on the trail and I have to get her to step over obstacles and whatnot. And because I've never really done that. So I just thought, let's see what happens and just change things up a bit with our groundwork, do something different. We set up this piece right here. And as you can see, it's about a foot off the ground, not very high. And it's a pretty light piece too. So I figured that way if she, trips on it or whatever, not a problem. And I wasn't quite sure how she was going to react to it either. I thought maybe if she, tripped over it and it flew ahead and hit one of her legs and, she might react. But actually, as it turned out, she didn't react at all. However, no matter how many times I walked her over that little piece, I couldn't get her to step over it without kicking it and knocking it down. But she wasn't reacting at all, so I thought, well, okay, let's up the game a little here. So we threw this one away. And we've got this much bigger one here, which actually makes the total height just a little more because it's a much thicker piece. And it's also got a little bit of a flat on it, so it's not going to roll real easy. And then we asked her to step over it. Yeah, well, she actually touched it that time. That's the first time she's actually touched it. The first time I made her walk over it, she didn't even touch the thing. So my point is that the horse is smarter than you think. She looked at that other one, and no matter how many times I walked over it, she didn't care. She could kick it down. She knew she could. She took one look at that thing and thought, oh, that's light, that's small, I don't care, I'm going to kick it. And she'd knock it down every single time. This one, though, being much bigger, even though it's higher, she took one look at that thing and said, oh, no, I got to walk over that one. I can't just kick it because it's not going to move like the other one did. So we don't need to teach our horses a lot of things. I mean, she's been walking around out in the pasture. I mean, horses learn to walk the day they're born. And she's been walking around in the pasture ever since. It's not like she doesn't already know how to step over obstacles. I was more concerned with how she might react when I, actually make a request of her to go over something. And as it turns out, there's no reaction at all. So we don't need to worry about that. But that kind of goes along with something else I want to talk about a bit. I had quite a few conversations with riding instructors, and they all seem to think, well, not all of them, but most of them seem to think that unless we do things their way, that we can't possibly ride a horse properly and not hurt it unless we have instruction properly. And I'm thinking, well, riding instructors haven't been around all that long, so I can't see that we've been riding horses wrong and hurting them for thousands of years. It just, it doesn't seem too logical. So, when they try and tell you that you absolutely have to take instruction and do it exactly their way, or you're going to hurt your horse when you ride it, I'm sorry, I don't buy that. Can you be a better rider by taking instruction? Absolutely. I actually encourage people to take some lessons, but if your instructor tries telling you that you can't possibly ride properly without their instruction and you're just going to end up hurting your horse, probably a good idea to walk away and find somebody else. If somebody tells you that you ride okay, but we can make you better, good. That's probably a person you should look towards and take lessons from. And that's one of those things, because, indeed, there are right and wrong ways of riding, and it doesn't hurt to take some lessons. Honestly, if you have a little common sense and you aren't just a big sack of potatoes up there on the horse's back, you can hurt a horse if you're a bad rider and you got bad balance, and you can certainly make it easier for the horse if you do it right. But I don't think it's necessary to absolutely have to take lessons in order to not hurt your horse. So that's just one of those things. We don't need to teach a horse to walk. A lot of people think a horse can't possibly carry a rider properly unless the rider gets instruction that teaches the horse how to carry itself properly while being ridden and things like that. And these are just absurd things. She stepped on the lead. That's okay. Good for her. She'll learn that one. I don't know how many times she's done that, but she still reacts to that. She doesn't like having a down force on the halter. Well, that's okay. Good reason to leave the lead on. She'll step on it enough times, pretty soon she'll get used to it. But anyhow, a horse doesn't instinctually know how to carry weight on its back and carry a rider. So it does take time for him to get used to it. But they're smart enough to learn on their own. They're not stupid animals. Put a weight on their back, and yeah, it changes the whole thing. They have to get used to it. It takes time. They do actually have to learn how to carry a rider. But I think they can do it without our help, as long as we aren't a complete idiot on their back. I'm pretty sure they can do okay on their own. So don't underestimate the intelligence of a horse. It's something I've talked about before. And one of the reasons is that it'll make your training harder if you think you're dealing with a dumb animal that isn't capable of learning what you're trying to teach it. And the other side of that is that your horse is going to learn a lot of things you don't realize it's learning, that you're accidentally teaching it. Horses can learn good lessons. They can also learn bad ones just as easily. I've had many experiences that personally with animals that indicate just how smart a horse actually is and what it's capable of learning. And it's a really dangerous thing to underestimate the intelligence of a horse, because it can learn a lot of really bad things without you realizing it. The best case scenario, if you underestimate their intelligence, it's just going to make training a whole lot harder, because you're going to be thinking it can't learn what you want to teach it. Your horse can probably learn a whole lot more than you think it can, if you can just figure out how to ask it properly to do what you want it to do. That's all. Don't underestimate how smart a horse is. Horses don't have to be taught how to walk. Horses don't have to be taught how to carry a rider. If we learn how to be better riders, that's not a bad idea. But don't think the horse is too stupid to do it on its own. They learn to walk from day one. Back up. Back up. Back up. Back up. Yeah. Well, that's not near as nice as you did it in the past, but just thought we'd switch things up just a little bit, because, hey, you never know when you might actually have to back up over an obstacle. The time could come. It never hurts to have your horse prepared to do all things. So there you go. Just one more thing you can add to that. Any obstacle, have some fun. You saw her step on the lead earlier and jerked her head up. She had quite a reaction to it because, well, she's still a little bit on the nervous side from her past. And it kind of caught her off guard, too, because she wasn't really expecting it. And all of a sudden there's this quite a force on the halter. So that made her react a bit. It's just what happens here. But it's not like she isn't used to the halter, because just watch the head come down. I'm only going to use 2 fingers on here. You see that? See the head come down? I'll do it again. And down some more it goes. I can't get a whole lot lower without being nose right on the ground, but just so you know, she actually is used to the halter. What it does, it was just one of those things that happens every once in a while. She steps on the lead and it catches her off guard, and she's like, what the heck is this pulling and yanking on me like crazy? And kind of freaks her out a bit. But that's the temperament we got to work with here. She's not perfect. She's got her issues, but all in all, she's a pretty good little horse. So I just thought I'd demonstrate that she does in fact lower her head with the halter pressure. It's not something that she normally does. She doesn't do it when I'm the one cueing her. It's just when, something out of the blue, all of a sudden there's a yank on the halter that she's not expecting, kind of catches her off guard, and yeah, she'll react to it. So always got to be conscious of those kind of things, and maybe your horse has certain things that it'll react to as well. So just never know, and that's where it pays to get to know the animal and what to expect from it. When I see her do that, I'm not worried. It doesn't mean that I haven't done any work with her and that she doesn't respond to pressure. She responds quite nicely. She's actually a very soft little horse, but every once in a while something catches her like that gets a reaction out of her. So there you go, folks. Have a good day.